Free at last, thank God almighty, we are free at last. Listen, I'm not MLK, God rest his soul, but I guess you could say Man United has somewhat freed the shackles from the Glazers, because as we know, Ineos have a 25% stake in Manchester United, buying them for 1.25 billion. 25% of the Class B shares are now under the disposal of Sir Jim Ratcliffe, a lifelong Manchester United fan who has huge aspirations for the club. He's already pledged £300 million for the club in terms of infrastructure. And of course, as we know, Ineos will be the people running the club from a football perspective moving forward. So, what can we expect and what does that mean for Manchester United moving forward? Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Sani-That sports guy talking all things sport. And of course, today it's football, it's Manchester United. We need to speak about my beloved because, as we know, Man United have an ownership change. Finally, after a year of back and forth, Sheikh Jassim, SJR, Ineos, we finally have some new owners, kind of. We obviously have Ineos, they have a 25% stake. Yes, it's a minority shareholding, but it's somewhat changed, something that we haven't seen for the best part of a decade at Manchester United. You could even say since 2005, when the Glazers came in, and the beauty of this purchase is it's not a leveraged buyout. The one issue that we had when the Glazers actually bought Manchester United was it was a leveraged buyout. And what was leverage? The club that was Manchester United. Luckily with this, none of it is financed by debt, which is the beauty of this. But we don't talk finance here, not all the time. We're talking sports, we're talking football, we're talking Manchester United. We're going to start off right at the top. So Jim Ratcliffe, no matter what spin you put on it, is a Manchester United fan. I know a lot of you out there are going to be like, oh, he's a Chelsea season ticket holder. But he's always been a Manchester United fan. I was reading Matt Dickinson's 1999 book, which talks about the treble. And even Sir Jim Ratcliffe's mentioned in that, about how much glee he had when we won the treble. He's always been a fan of the club. And I think that's one thing that gets really swept under the rug when it comes to football ownership. If you're someone that has a lot of passion or a lot of love for the club, you're going to want to see it do well. Yes, sometimes it can turn toxic and you may do things that you might not necessarily have done if you were objective. But if you have a passion for something, you want to see it do well. Listen, I'm single. That's not an advertisement for all you beautiful single ladies out there. But I'm single, and if I did have a girlfriend, I'd do everything to make sure that it'd work with her. I'd shower her with so much love, etc., because I have a lot of passion for it. Likewise with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he has a lot of passion for Manchester United. He loves the club. He wants to see it do well. And I think that's one thing that's been missing for so long. The Glazers haven't really loved Manchester United. They love the business that is Manchester United. What we want is an owner that loves the club. And I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe has that. And I think going forward, we'll see that in terms of what he implements. Yes, we can talk about the money, and that's one aspect of showing passion and love in terms of the £300 million he's pledged. But money's not everything. It's about other things, the intangibles. And I think that's what we need to get into as well, and that's the structure. We've been screaming for a cohesive structure ever since David Gill left. Even when Fergie left, we haven't really had structure at the club. We've had people such as Ed Woodward come, Richard Arnold even, who don't really know what it's like running a football club. But I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe does know that. And I think he'll have the right people. What you want at a football club aren't business people, aren't entrepreneurs. You want people who know what football's like, who knows what athletes work like. And I think that's what Sir Jim Ratcliffe sees. And I think that's going to be seen with his appointment of Sir Dale Brailsford. Now, you might be thinking, who's that? He's a guy that does cycling. I do cycling, but I'm still speaking to you about Man United. And that's because he was a success at Team Sky. There's a dichotomy of what we had when Fergie was here compared to what we have now, not only in structure, but in terms of mentality. And that's one thing that Sir Dale Brailsford was actually bringing. He's the big reason why cycling in Great Britain is where it was at the 2012 Olympics and forthcoming Olympics after that. 18 plus gold medals were won because of him. 7 out of the 8 Tour de France wins were because of Sir Dale Brailsford's tutelage, showing that he has success ingrained in it. During this period, he obviously managed big personalities. I mean, you have Sir Bradley Wiggins, one of the biggest personalities when it comes to cycling and sports in general. Read his book, read about his life story. It was very, very volatile, but he managed to control him and even other winners such as Chris Froome, for example. Sir Dale Brailsford knows what it's like to manage big personalities. And coming into a massive club such as Manchester United, you need someone that can manage these big egos, these big personalities. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be the manager, but having his presence there is going to be important because he can point out people that need certain nurturing, need a certain arm around the shoulder, need the cold shoulder, for example. Certain people might not even need to be in the dressing room moving forward because of how they are. And I think he'll see that. And that's that ruthlessness that he'll have back at the club. We've been screaming for some ruthlessness for ages in the club. Yes, Ten Hag spoke about this, but we want someone to come in the club and be like, yes, you need to go. I mean, Ralph Ragnick spoke about how Man United need open heart surgery, for example. but we haven't really had that open heart surgery. I think Sir Dale Brailsford can show that open heart surgery happen. It's going to take time, but I think it will happen. And the other beautiful thing that Sir Dale Brailsford will bring is that networking. Now, you might be thinking this ain't LinkedIn, But the thing is, in football, you have agents. If you have a lot of players under one agent and you get to know that agent quite well, have a good relationship, you could see a lot of those players come to your club. That's what was seen at Team Sky. There was an agent that Sir Dale Brailsford was very good friends with, and as a result, most of the riders at Sky, about 90% of them, were under that agent. Fostering that relationship is going to be a beautiful thing for Manchester United moving forward. Because as we know, we've had many issues when it comes to agents, such as Mino Raiola, God rest his soul, for example, who, as we know, Fergie didn't have a good relationship with. Going forward, if Sir Dave can be that middle person between the manager and those agents, it could only mean a good thing for Manchester United. Because it will mean not overpaying for players and also having a structure when it comes to wages as well. But of course, we can dress it up as much as we want about Sir Dale Brailsford. At the end of the day, so Jim Ratcliffe's the person that bought the club. How have his other ventures done? If you look at Team Sky, for example, who we took over in 2019, they actually inevitably won the Tour de France in 2019, and in 2021, they won the Giro d'Italia. But that's cycling. I don't think you care about that, even though I do. But let's look at football. He's obviously got Nice, Lausanne Sport in Switzerland as well. Nice, for example, they've been 5th, 9th, and they're currently 2nd. So, steady trajectory. You could say consistency, but Nice were never powerhouses of French football. It was always the likes of Lyon, Marseille, and of course, Paris Saint-Germain. Lausanne Sport, again, they're not exactly a powerhouse when it comes to Swiss football. They've been promoted and relegated ever since Ineos took over, but Manchester United is what it's all about. Yes, there might be some sort of hesitancy when it comes to Man United fans about what success could look like in the near future, but one thing we need to do as Man United fans is be patient and accept that we need to trust the process, to coin the phrase from the Philadelphia 76ers. Not you, Arsenal fans. Stability is something that we might have for the first time in what could be a decade ever since Fergie left. We need to appreciate that, yes, things are going to take time, but stability is what you want at a club. In order for us to be back on the perch that we inevitably have allowed ourselves to slip off, we need to be patient and stable. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, Sir Jim Ratcliffe could be the answer for that. Let's see what happens, though, people. I'm talking about patience like I'm Take That and stability, even though I've had no hip operations. But let's see what happens in the future. I want to hear your thoughts as well. Do you think Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to be a success? How do you see it playing out for Manchester United over the coming years? Do you think eventually the Glazers will leave as well? And do you think Sir Dave Brailsford could be the reason why Man United are a successful club again? Please, let's hear your thoughts. And of course, if you want to speak about it as well, drop me a DM on Instagram. I'd love to have a chat as well. But as always, until next time, guys, peace.